What's up, family? Welcome back to the channel, man. It's your boy, Mr. Toy. Today, yo, skirt, man. Check this out. Yo, we got a video today. It's talking about confessions of a former Freemason turned Catholic convert. Oh, man, let's get into it now. Remember, if this is your first time on the channel, make sure you go ahead and subscribe and join the Toy family. We are literally the latest family on YouTube, and that's a fact. Also, before we get started, put a like on this video. Remember, if you got a video you want me to react to, get down in the comment section, post the link, and I will get to it, man. Let's go ahead and get into this reaction.
Yeah, so you're asking me what qualifies me to speak on the subject of Freemasonry. Well, I had only been active in Freemasonry for 10 years. I became a Freemason in 1994, and I was active until 2004. But to this day, I encounter people, or people recognize me, or people find me online, or they hear my name, and they'll say like, hey, you were David Gray, you know, like I'm not David Gray anymore. Like, yeah, you were, hey man, you accomplished so much, man. I looked up to you. Man, you did things that nobody has done since. And you were young, man. And like, at the book you wrote, Inside Prince Hall, man, one of the greatest books ever been written about Prince Hall, man. What happened to you? You know, so, you know, I get that quite often, but, you know, I look back and like, yeah, I mean, I was young, I was smart, I was talented, I was ambitious, and I lived and breathed Freemasonry. And I put everything that I had into it. I mean, I just gave Freemasonry everything I had. It was what I knew. It was my life. It was how I identified. It was my religion. And I was, like I said, people gave me a lot of opportunities, a lot of advancement, because they seen like, man, this kid, he's just, this is him. This is what he's doing. Let's take his energy and let's just use it. So I was given a lot of opportunities to advance. And I was in my 20s, in my early 30s, and I loved Freemasonry. So some of the advancement that I had, the opportunities I had become a worshipful master of a local lodge. It's the highest office that you can have in the lodge, and some people is the highest office that you can have in Freemasonry, being the master of a local lodge. And so I was worship master when I was maybe 25, 26. But in that time, I was probably the youngest worship master that had ever been in the state of Ohio. After I had become a Master Mason in 2004, maybe a year later, I had joined the Royal Arch. I became a Royal Arch Mason. That started my journey up the York Rite of Freemasonry. And a couple years after, I was a worshipful master of a local lodge. I had been elected the high priest of a Royal Arch chapter, which is the highest chapter of Royal Arch. And so I continued my journey up the York Rite. I was a Royal and Select Master, and also I had reached the highest house in the York Rite, which is a Knights Templar. I never been an elected officer of either one of those houses, a Royal Select Master or the Knights Templar, but I had been appointed to several offices there too. And I had also started my journey up the Scottish Rite shortly after I become a Master Mason, which is the third degree Mason, if you don't know. And so in the Scottish Rite, I had been made a 32nd degree Mason shortly after. Again, after I had come into the lodge. Never held any elected offices in that house, but I held many appointed offices, and I was working my way up to becoming the head of the house, which would be commander in chief. I had been in the Order of Eastern Star, which is a female body of the Masonic order. They still have to have male members, and the highest male office in that house is a worthy patron. So I had been elected that and held that office for numerous years. So several Grand Lodge appointments. I had won many awards, had won many decorations, have been given to me for the work I had done, for the things that I had written. I had become the founding editor of the Dr. Charles H. Wesley Masonic Research Society, which was a big deal at that time, and had published several different journals out of there. And I was the first Prince Hall Freemason. Prince Hall Freemasonry is the predominantly black set of Freemasonry, but I became the first Prince Hall Freemason to also have dual membership into a predominantly white Grand Lodge. I had become a member of the Ohio Lodge of Research, which was a big deal. And I had become an actual fellow of the Flag Society, which is another research society in Prince Hall Freemasonry. So because of the books I've been written, the work I had done, they had made me a fellow of that society. I had been commissioned by the lodges, research lodges of Australia and New Zealand to write a book about Prince Hall Freemasonry, and I did in 2003. And part of that, in conjunction with that, had toured Australia and New Zealand speaking about the subject. And my last appointment to the Grand Lodge was I had become the district deputy of the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Ohio. And the deputy is pretty much the representative of the Grand Master. And my district consisted mainly of just Western Ohio. So my experience in Freemasonry Acts, what qualifies me to talk about this subject, is because my experience was so expansive. And as far as I know, I'm probably the most highly decorated Freemason to ever convert to Catholicism. Yeah, why did I become a Freemason, you ask? But I think I always wanted to be a Freemason from the time I was a kid, for as long as I knew. My stepfather was a Freemason. My grandfather was a Freemason. I remember as a kid, I was going through my stepfather's belongings. You know, as kids do, they sneak around when their parents are home. So I'm going through his drawers, and I find his apron, and I find this ritual book. You know, it was coded and everything. And I'm like, what is this? My dad belongs to some sort of secret society. I mean, I was so impressed with him by him at that time. I was like, wow, I didn't notice. It's like finding out your dad is a superhero. Like, wow, my dad has a cape. So. Yeah, in the front of the community that I came from, being a Freemason was a big deal. And I thought Freemasons knew things that other people didn't. I didn't know the words back then, like Gnostic and things like that, esoteric. But, you know, I thought Freemasons knew things that other people didn't. So I just kind of wanted that knowledge. And I thought I'd have to wait till I was much older to become a Freemason. But the university I went to, a predominantly black university, had Freemasons on campus who were my age, and I started going to some of their activities and some of the informational sessions that they were doing, and one thing led to another. And so I'm a sophomore in college, and the next thing you know, I'm a Freemason, right? I think most guys in college, you know, want to join a fraternity, and I did too, you know, right? And I later on did join the Mega Psi Phi fraternity. But Freemasonry was the first thing. I was like, wow, when I saw that opportunity, you know, I hopped on that, right? Everything else will have to wait. So yeah, I was, 21, 22, and I'm a Freemason. Yeah, so a big question. Why do you leave Freemasonry? That's a good question, and it's really a simple answer. I left Freemasonry because I became a Catholic, and that's it. When I was going through the RCI process, right, Christian initiation process, I found out that it's always been the Catholic teaching, the Catholic Church in 1738, that Catholics can't be Freemasons. So it was never really a choice. I chose the church because the church is true, right? The church makes saints, right? Freemasonry proposes that it makes good men better, but the Catholic Church makes saints. So it was really a no-brainer. And the Catholic. So when I took my oath as a Catholic now, that I believe all that the Catholic Church teaches is true because it was revealed by God. Well, that's part of that body of work. That's part of that dogmatic teaching that's been revealed by God, that Catholics can't be Freemasons. So the date I was confirmed, August 8th, 2006, was really the last date that I could really say that I was a Freemason, because I became Catholic. And I always tell people that if I was still a Protestant, I would probably still be a Freemason, because there's nothing in the Bible that explicitly says that a Christian can't be a Freemason. There's some things you can apply here and there, some things that's implicit perhaps, but there's really no. What Catholicism had, for me, it had that authority, it had that authoritative teaching that Protestantism doesn't have. So for a Catholic, there's no other choice either, and this is grave matter. And I definitely know that there are Catholics who are Freemasons, but they're excommunicated. And because by virtue of them being disobedient to this grave matter, some of them don't know they're excommunicated. Some of them are still receiving communion, but they are excommunicated. by virtue of being a Freemason. They don't need some pope or priest telling them that they're excommunicated. They're excommunicated by virtue of the act. Late Cynthia, they're excommunicated by virtue of the act. So I never wanted to be in that situation. What's the point of being a Catholic if you're excommunicated? So I was confirmed in the church in 2006. In about 2009, I wrote an essay about why Catholics cannot be Freemasons. And I'll put a link to it down in the bottom of this video. But it's still a very popular article online. A lot of people visit it every day. And I never really felt inclined to really expand that article into a book because I had read this book by John Salza talking about why Catholics cannot be Masons. And I think this book suffices. I mean, there are a lot of things in this book I would have written differently, probably approached the whole subject differently, but never to such a degree that I think warranted my time and effort to write a new book on the subject. I think this book suffices, and I recommend it for people who want to know why Catholics can be Freemasons. And, my article as well, but this is a little more in depth, so to speak. I really don't care so much for this book, Masonry Unmasked. It's also by John Salza at Insiders. Reveals the secrets of the lodge. I don't recommend that one, and primarily because it's not the last thing you want to do as a Catholic, if you've never been a Freemason, is read this book and then go tell Freemason why they can't, why what's wrong with Freemasonry, because as people do, I think like John Salza, who didn't have a lot of exposure to universal Freemasonry, he makes a lot of blanket statements. The thing to remember, I would tell you about Freemasonry, is that Freemasonry is like Protestantism. It's broken down in thousands of different Masonic jurisdictions throughout the world, and none of them believe the same thing about everything. They don't. They're like Protestants in a sense. I think there's some things that they all agree on, and that's what makes them regular Freemasons versus irregular, and we'll talk in a minute about irregular Masons. But so all the regular Masons, so to speak, agree on these same things, right? But as far as comes to ritual, if there's 1,000 different Masonic jurisdictions, there's about 900 different Masonic rituals and things, little things that they believe. So the last thing you want to do is read some of this about what goes on in the lodge and go tell Freemasons, hey, I know what goes on in the lodge, and they'll laugh at you. So it's to the point, something like this is sort of harmful, because if you're trying to lead a Freemason away from the Masonic lodge, what you don't want to do is, what's immediately a turnoff to a Freemason, is you tell them what they believe, and then they say, well, that's not in my ritual. That's not what I experienced in my ritual. And but you read it in this book here, that, this is what goes on in the ritual. No, it's better to stick with just philosophy and basic generalities about why Freemasonry is incompatible with Catholicism or incompatible with Christianity, just on a philosophical level, then rather to get into their rituals and things like that, because that's the minutia, that's the red herrings and the weeds and things like that. You can really make a strong case just using reason and logic and philosophy, rather than getting into some issues that you're never going to agree on and just really end up looking stupid and they end up laughing at you.
Okay, wow. What's my family? This is just part one. What I did not know that if you was part of the Freemasons that you could not be another. See, the thing is, I didn't even know Freemasonry was like can you really say it's a religion? I don't know. Like, cause see, guys, I'm not really. Let me be honest with you guys. I don't know. Every video that I watch is literally my first time watching anything, so a lot of this stuff I do not know. So you can't be a Freemason and a Catholic, so that means you can't be a Freemason and a Muslim. You see what I'm saying? So basically what I'm getting from this thing is, this video, just the part one, is if you're a Freemason, that is it. So basically it's towards like being a religion in a sense, so I didn't even know that. So what he's telling us now is that you cannot be a Freemason and be part of a religion as far as like being a Christian or a Muslim or anything of that nature, because it goes against it. So even if you feel as if you haven't been exiled or pushed out, they already did it. You probably didn't get the message in a sense, you know? So this is crazy. Wow. I didn't even know this, but guys, I'm gonna go ahead and this is part 1. So I'm gonna drop another video and it's gonna be part 2. So depending on when you watch this video, part 2 should be on the channel, so look for it. I should post the link or inside the description somewhere so you can click the link, but make sure you get down in the description. I'm gonna post a link to this video so you can go there and comment on his video, because he has a lot of videos in his channel, and it's like a lot of videos really teaching about this Freemasonry. It's a beautiful thing, man. Wow. Mind blowing right now, man. It's your boy, Mr. Twap. He got a video on me right to get down in the comment section, post the link, and I will get to it. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Why? Because I post videos every day, so please take care. Stay safe.